What's going on, guys? Let's talk Cleanspark earnings. Cleanspark was the first Bitcoin miner to report Q4, which is their fiscal Q1. This gives a good insight of what we should see from the other Bitcoin miners. Now, if you haven't listened to the call yet, I'll leave a video at the end screen of a condensed version of it. It brings the call from an hour to about 17 minutes or so. But I do highly recommend you listen to the full call if you're interested, and I'll leave a link to that down below to their investor relations page. Now, Cleanspark did beat their top and bottom line. They beat their revenue, they beat their EPS. They reached 162.3 million in quarterly revenue, which is up 120% year over year, and up about 70 million from the prior quarter. I wish they would have mentioned that as well. 89 million was reported in the previous quarter ending September 2024, and the quarter that we just got reported was 162 million dollars in revenue. Not only year over year growth like we always see, but also quarter over quarter. This is the first quarter to see revenue growth since the halving. This is the first quarter to see profitability since the halving. And I was trying to dig up some old videos, but maybe I have too many, or I'm just not looking in the right places. But you know, this was something to be expected. We were going to hit the halving. We're going to see these Bitcoin miners likely pull back, present us some good buying opportunities, get back to unprofitability. The market will be fearful about the Bitcoin miners because of the halving cutting rewards, presenting us with some great buying opportunities. And I shouldn't count my eggs before they hatch, but in my opinion, we're not going to see those August, September prices again, where, for instance, Cleanspark was down in the 8s and unprofitable. And you know, this sets the tone for the other Bitcoin miners as well. Cleanspark's earnings kind of sheds light on the others. That took me 5 times to say. Their marginal cost per coin decreases 6% in the quarter to 34,000 at owned facilities. What else is notable about this earnings? Well, for one, they say that they're on their way towards 50 exahash in the first half of 2025. They also announced closing of their $650 million convertible bond. They had news of this maybe a couple weeks ago, and we talked about it, but this is definitely a positive. And as said by Gary Vee, the CFO, we overcame virtually all of the halving impact on the Bitcoin block subsidy while growing our current Bitcoin treasury to over 10,500 Bitcoin, 100% of which was entirely self-mined by Cleanspark, exclusively in the USA. Hint, hint. Support our industry, Mr. President. No, Gary didn't say that, but I think that's what he's hinting at. We have one of the cleanest balance sheets in the industry. Look forward to utilizing it through our institutional grade Bitcoin treasury team and strategy. Cleanspark's financial strength continued to grow in fiscal Q1, 57% gross margin, 2.8 billion in assets, 1.2 billion in total liquidity. Why buy Bitcoin at current spot prices when we can mine it at 34,000? They are sitting on 276 million in cash, 929 million in Bitcoin. This was as of earnings. It should be a little more than that. Total current assets of 1.2 billion, total mining assets, including prepaid deposits and deployed miners, almost $1 billion there, 938 million. Total assets, 2.8 billion. Long-term debt, 641 million. Working capital, 1.2 billion, including capacity of $50 million on their Bitcoin collateralized line of credit. And this is something they also talk about in the call, utilizing the 10,000 Bitcoin they hold to make some kind of a yield. In the Q&A, they touch on this even further. An analyst asks about, how they're going to utilize this. And Gary Vee himself says we're going to start with a crawl, walk, run approach, see how it does and continue to grow it. This could be another interesting little side hustle, bringing them a little bit more income per quarter. And looking at forward guidance, looking pretty fantastic, expecting another profitable quarter, expecting 201 million in revenue, a record quarter, just as this was a record quarter as well. Ever since that halving, after these runs, after we got to profitable quarters before the halving, look at what we're at this time. Profitable quarters again. We don't have a halving looming in a couple months to cut rewards in half this time around. I think the Bitcoin miners, not just Cleanspark, but all of the Bitcoin miners that we like, will perform very well, will outperform Bitcoin from bottom to top. That's the goal. We should see some consistent profitability as Bitcoin finishes up this cycle, as these Bitcoin miners become even more efficient, bringing their joules per terahash down, which is a good thing. We should see some consistent profitability from them. We got through the halving, we got through the period of, decreasing revenue quarter over quarter, unprofitable quarters, a fantastic opportunity in hindsight to buy. This is where the market wakes up to the Bitcoin miners. They're finally getting back to that profitability as we expected. Looking at Cleanspark on the chart, it does have some work ahead of it. We need to break out of this 1240 area that was a previous resistance a few times. And going over to the daily, while we did break the 50 MA, it might act as a support here as some profit taking ensues because of this somewhat good day. What we really need to do is break over the 200 MA in the 13s, get these to flip again. Our last golden cross was quite a while ago, back in November of 2023, when Cleanspark was $4. We got that golden cross, we got profitable quarters, and Cleanspark rallied. This is the time for the Bitcoin miners. It doesn't have to be Cleanspark. Insert your favorite Bitcoin miner here. And speaking of which, just because I'm bullish on Cleanspark doesn't mean you need to be. You need to develop your own convictions, have your own reasons to be bullish on a stock. I'm not here to pump it, despite what people think. I simply have built my channel around it. Videos about Cleanspark clearly do better than others, and I like the stock. In my opinion, Cleanspark is the best Bitcoin miner, and they're here to stay over the long term. They will be a very successful company over the decades. And in the meantime, cycle to cycle, we can make some damn money buying during crypto winter and selling while there's FOMO, selling while there's hype. Now we do have a development in terms of Bitcoin. Let me know how you guys are feeling about Cleanspark's earnings. This is a great sign for the Bitcoin miners in general. This is a clear turnaround point where we were at revenue declining, unprofitability. We're finally at that point where revenue is growing again. Bitcoin miners are starting to post profitability. Also, thanks to the FASB accounting rules. This is something that benefited them greatly. Before this took effect, the Bitcoin miners couldn't report their gains from crypto, only their losses. Because of this has also helped Cleanspark with this earnings, and it should help the others as well. Utah leads. Bitcoin Reserve Bill passes the House, heads to the Senate. And on February 6th, Utah's House of Reps passed House Bill 230, informally referred to as the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill, by a narrow margin of 38 votes in favor, 34 against, and 3 not voting. It'll now advance to the Senate, where its fate hinges on another vote before ultimately reaching the governor's desk. This would permit the Utah State Treasurer to invest up to 5% of designated public funds in qualifying digital assets. Please tell me the audio's working. All right. These assets must either possess a market cap exceeding 500 billion or be approved stablecoins. They don't want no small cap coins. Fair enough. Adoption for Bitcoin is happening all around us. We have states getting involved. We of course have the world's largest company in terms of assets under management, BlackRock, with their very own spot Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin is here to stay. It is not going away. The Bitcoin miners are set to benefit from the rest of this cycle massively, and in my opinion, ending this cycle strong with some profitable quarters, as we're beginning to see here. We will see these Bitcoin miners outperform Bitcoin from cycle low till top, mark my words, and it's ramping up again here. This is that turnaround point. This is that point where fundamentals start improving again. We get that quarter over quarter revenue growth, and this should be an exciting 2025 for both Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. But let me know down below what you guys think. How do you feel about Cleanspark's earnings? And if you didn't listen to the earnings call, make sure you listen to it. The full thing's down below, or the shortened video is at the end screen. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.